Hello and happy Saturday, Detroit. Thank you and welcome to another episode of Beauty in the Dig, where we focus on power, wealth, and style with the host, yours truly, Stephanie Coney. So, I have a very special guest this week, as usual. Every week, we only bring the best, nothing but the best. But I have here in the studio today, Miss Sherry Harris. Before I even read her bio, let's switch the camera to her. Happy Saturday and thank you for being here, Miss Sherry Harris.
Happy Saturday, Stephanie. Thank you for having me. You have a beautiful platform.
Thank you so
Congratulations.
much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. So I do want to read your profile. Most Detroiters already know who you are, but for those who don't, let's school them on who you are. So Sherry Harris is the second of four children, born and raised in Detroit, Michigan. She's the proud mother of one daughter and is a product of Detroit Public Schools. Yay!
Mhm.
And a graduate of Davenport University, Kennesaw State University, and New Way Trucking Training Center. She started her career as a nurse in Detroit, Michigan, and relocated to Atlanta, Georgia. Ms. Harris embarked on a second career after working in healthcare for 15 years. The life altering decision was to transition from the medical field into the trucking business. She decided to become a female entrepreneur. 2 days after making this decision, she was in a dump truck, asking questions and learning about the business. Sherry's family history in the trucking business is long lived. Therefore, she called her family to inquire about the business and rally their support. After receiving overwhelming support from her family, Sherry made it her mission to educate herself about the intricacies of being a minority business owner in the city of Detroit with a specialization in trucking. Sherry's trucking career began in Georgia as a Class B dump truck driver. She relocated back home to Detroit to attend New Way Truck Driving Training Center and obtained her Class A CDL. That was the start of it all. Sherry's trucking career took off and she became a Class A tanker and hazmat endorsed driver. She holds various titles and certifications as a driver, delivering liquid oxygen and nitrogen as a cryogenic specialist, installing CIPP liners through the USA as a certified boiler operator, sewer jet vector truck operator, driving and operating a water tank for the new Marathon refinery plant in Detroit, Michigan, dry van and reefer driver. This is just a snapshot of her trucking experiences. Sherry Harris has taken her knowledge and experience along with her business degree and launched Swint Logistics Group Incorporated. Sherry Harris is now the Chief Executive Officer of Swint Logistics Group Incorporated and Swint Infrastructure Solutions. Swint Logistics Group Inc. offers hauling, warehousing, and logistics, material suppliers, and training. Swint General Contractor offers full service commercial and residential construction. Swint Infrastructure Solutions includes sanitary and storm sewer rehab, repair or replacement, CCTV assessments, and jet rod services. These firms are certified, 100% woman owned, and operated in the city of Detroit. Thank you, and I could go on. No, there's more stuff, and I'll incorporate that into the conversation. Thank you so much for being here again, Sherry.
Thank you
Girl,
for
when you have
having
time
me.
to sleep, you got all these companies and you offer all these services. When do you have time to, come up with all these ideas?
It's all God. It's all God. That's all I can tell you.
Won't he do
I'm
it?
super thankful, but it's just God and, being humble and faithful and
Hmm.
believing.
And your whole demeanor, like you don't look stressed. You look always calm and relaxed. And I've seen you multitask and handle many things at once, simultaneously. Like I've like not what I heard. This is what I've witnessed. And I can honestly say I've never even really seen you get upset, Sherry. And I've seen you go through some things.
Again, God. Literally God. But
Hmm.
you just can't get upset. You can't get a devil no power, and
That's
staying
right.
positive and getting upset, what does it do? Instead jump into power solving mode and fix it.
Yeah.
And so I owe that up to my mother. And I'm
And
thankful to
let's
her
talk
for
about
that.
that. I'm glad you said that because I was going to, but that's the background you came from, with you being humble and patient and just relying on the Lord for your source of everything, because your mother was a pastor. And let's just talk to the people about, she was boots on the ground pastoring.
She was my mother died from COVID doing what she loved, and that was helping her people.
Yeah.
My mother was a pastor, and she also was a social worker, and she helped, a lower class of people, and she enjoyed that. She retired 3 times and kept going back to work. So she was a minister, and she instilled a lot of faith in me, and just poured the word into me. And when you a kid, you like,
Yeah.
I want to be outside playing. I want to be at church. You know what I'm saying? But
Right.
you get home and you've avoided so many things that have happened on the block while you
Yeah.
was at church
While
all
you was at
day. And
church.
then now to have that foundation and to be in business, it helps sustain me. Other than that, I don't know where I would be,
Yes.
honestly.
And I'm sure she's looking down just as proud as she can be.
Well, I pray to God she is.
I'm sure.
So yeah.
So let's talk about, this is something you and I have, like you and I have so many commonalities. That's why we clicked so tough when we met. Shout out to Dr. Nicole Parker real quick.
Yes, Dr. Nicole Parker.
Yes.
She's a 7 Mile girl too, but shout out to Dr. Nicole. She is so dynamic.
She is. And we were both students in her class,
Correct.
scaling our business to the next level. Here we are today, fast forward 5 years, 6 years
Yeah.
later. Um, but, we shared that in common that we both were, from Detroit, but lived in Atlanta, Georgia.
Yes.
Talk about that experience real quick, and also how you transferred from nursing. You went down there as a nurse and came back a truck driver.
Right.
Talk about that.
So, I experienced a lot of colorism in Atlanta.
Colorism.
Colorism.
Okay.
So, it's like, okay, so in working, I worked in dialysis clinics. So first we were doing home dialysis, and then we switched to clinics. And so
So you
working
were
in,
going to people's homes.
yep, they had machines. They would do their hemodialysis treatments 3 times a week. We had water purification system in the house, the whole nine. And so then they did away with that. And so I had to go in the clinic and start working. And so when I say colorism, I hope this is the correct term. Maybe it's not, but I think it is. Where um, the white people in charge would treat the light skinned workers better than the darker skinned workers.
Hmm.
And so it created tension.
That's colorism. Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Okay, I thought
Hmm.
so. So, and so it was just a lot of animosity that was spewed from the white supervisors and even the light skinned supervisors. They
Hmm.
kept it going with that. And so, um, it was like you had to prove to the darker skinned people that okay,
We on
I
the
didn't
same
ask for
team.
this. We
Right.
cool. Like I'm just here to feed my daughter.
Yeah.
And so I had to talk about this on BET at work. I got into it with somebody and I prayed and I told God, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to work with women. I don't want to work in healthcare anymore. I'm burnt out. I need to do something where I can work with predominantly men, honestly, and listen to my radio and talk on my phone. That was my prayer. And
Hmm.
I heard him say, be a truck driver. And so I was like, okay. So after I got, my patients taken care of, I sat down and I asked all the girls at the table, anybody know somebody with a truck? Anybody know anybody? And my girl said, the second person, oh, my brother got a dump truck. I said, call him right now. And I was in his dump truck 2 days later.
Stop.
I told him I want to learn about trucking. He like, what? It's only one girl dump truck driver in Atlanta. And he was like, you want to learn? Oh, you could be on my team. So
Okay.
it was super exciting. And so the first day out, I met him on I-20 in Panola.
That's around the corner
That's
from
right
where
where you
I
stay,
live.
right? So right by New Birth, right?
Yeah.
And we paved I-20. And so full circle, I have
You
a
had
dump.
never paved anything
No,
before.
it was the first time in the dump truck, and our assignment for the day was to pave I-20. And so now I have dump trucks on contracts paving I-20, I-285 new interchange project in Atlanta.
Stop.
We're Georgia GDOT certified.
Uh huh.
So I mean, it's funny because God is comical. I don't know, everybody else's relationship with him, but it's kind of funny. Like, who knew I would end up
Yeah.
here, in the same place I started with the dump truck in the position that I'm in.
Hmm.
So I'm just blessed and thankful, and just follow
That
the
is such
story.
a, I know it has to be nostalgia, because I kind of feel that way. I started the business in Atlanta, and I share with you off camera, like I'm casting my net the first thing I'm bidding on, ironically, is in Atlanta.
Right. So see, that
You
might
know
be your
what I
full
mean?
circle
It
story
might
as
be
well.
for real.
Yeah, God
So
is funny. Like
here we are off
He is.
285 off the circle, right? And I-20. Oh my God. So let's talk about real quick. How did you like living in Atlanta while you were there?
I love living in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen some very rich, successful,
Black,
powerful black people.
yes,
You've seen them driving cars you may not see. And it
yes,
wasn't just here and there, it was everywhere.
yeah.
Everybody had money, everybody was making money.
Mm-hmm.
I had the opportunity to work in the entertainment industry while I was there, casting music videos. I mean, we did just about every hip hop video that was on the air at the time.
Mm-hmm.
That was the start of Little John, Ludacris, Yin Yang Twins, 112. So we had the opportunity to cast those videos and just to see the stars and just, living in Atlanta, going into a club and Diddy and I mean
It's
not to mention him
nothing,
now, that
right?
was
Right. Yeah.
but I'm saying like
Yeah.
even then, like when Diddy was Diddy,
Yeah.
because we all love Diddy,
Yeah.
so it was nothing to walk into the club and my girls were there and we had 112 and we was kicking it with Jay-Z and
Yeah.
TLC and everybody would just and it was just being around the celebrities and just seeing the black excellence. It
Yes.
was
Great
very
word.
motivating,
Mm-hmm.
because I tell people all the time, Michigan is a really segregated state.
Mm-hmm.
We don't realize that, but it is. You around mostly all blacks in one area, the suburbs, well, it's starting to mix a little, but it's still a
Yeah.
segregated
Segregated.
state. Like when you think about when you went to school, I'm a DPS graduate, um, a product of DPS. We may have one or two white kids in our class,
Mm-hmm.
maybe three in the whole school. So to be around that much black excellence, and I mean, it was just all black to me in
Yeah.
Atlanta. Like, I mean, all black. And
Mm-hmm.
that was inspiring and motivating. And to see how they
Yeah.
live, the homes. So that inspires me with my construction company now and building homes here. We now we do new construction.
Mm-hmm.
We have design build services. So we have our own in-house services where we can design your home, create your blueprints. Then we have a structural engineer in house, and he'll stamp the plans, and we can submit them to building, the building department, and have your home. You start the process of building your home and complete it to fruition, to end, start to finish. So, Atlanta really motivated and inspired me.
Same here. I started the London consulting firm, and it was just like the entrepreneur bug bit me. It was just infectious,
Hmm.
and it's just like what you said. Just I remember when I first moved down there, going to Lenox Mall. It's like you never know who you're gonna run into, and I mean, they just
Exactly.
out like
You
regular
walking with Shaq.
people.
You walking with
Yeah,
Andre.
you
He and
like, is
his little
that?
Beetle, Andre 3000, riding around in a
Yeah.
Volkswagen Beetle with the
Mm-hmm.
afro, and you like, and so
Yes.
my nephew used to come all the time, and I mean, we go to mall, like I said, he Shaq right next to you.
Yeah.
Just the celebrities, the stars. It's nothing like that now, though.
And no, it's not like
It's
that now.
not like that
No,
now.
not like it was back in the day. And then the level up too.
Yeah.
Just how black people like, literally in the right outside the subdivision I lived in. I mean, my neighbors were African American, but they had horses.
See, I'm telling
I
you,
mean,
the wealth.
this was my view dropping my daughter off at school every morning.
Mhm.
We sent how many of them out this morning, all they eating, you know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah,
it
I
was
mean,
just
beautiful.
black excellence.
It
That's just
was.
the best way to put that. Okay, so I want to talk about your experiences being before we even get to the entrepreneurial bug. As a female truck driver, like, okay, so we talked about colorism in the medical field.
Okay.
Okay, was there any type of sexism in the truck driving field?
Ah, yes, it was. It was. It wasn't. Yes, it was. So, when I started, I worked in the sewers for like 10 years. You know that. So I'm heavy in my infrastructure background because of my experience with the company I work for, and so just a woman getting into a field where they knew you were gonna be making six figures
Mm-hmm.
doing what they do, but in their mind you don't have the strength or the power to do what they do. And so our guys would crawl sewer pipes, like literally, and
Cross sewer
cross
pipes.
sewer pipes. So
Oh, so
I
yeah,
didn't
that was
sign
some
up for that
money.
though. But see, I'm
I know you
licensed.
went from trucking to
But see,
okay.
I didn't. So they didn't understand that if you're a laborer,
Hmm.
you're a laborer. Trucking is like a skilled trade, or it's a
Yes.
license. So I didn't sign up for what you signed up for, and so it was some, you know, I felt like white men didn't want to see black women making that kind of money.
Mm.
And they made comments, they blocked me from positions. I experienced a lot, but at the end of the day,
Cause you black and a woman.
yeah, and it was only two women truck drivers at the company at the time, and like I said, we
Were
went
they
all over the United
Caucasian or
States.
black?
No, it was my girl.
Okay.
It was a black girl, and so she got the job first. I got the job a year later.
Okay.
And she had told me about it, but she was like, "Girl, we here to get our money and feed our kids." And so at the
That's
end
right.
of the day, no matter what I do, I'm not gonna screw anything up because my goal is to feed my daughter, which is a grown
Amen.
woman now, but
Yeah.
to now to make sure that my business is properly fed and growing like it's
Oh.
supposed to, because again, that's your child too.
It is.
And so you have to continue to feed it,
And
and
nurture it.
yeah, exactly. And so now that's my goal and everything I do. I'm here to please God. That's it. So,
Amen. I'm here. Praise
I
God.
can't, when you say don't get upset, what's the point of getting upset? We just gonna figure it out, work it out. If we can just move on.
That's right. And I've
We have
seen
no
you do
problem
it
walking away and saying goodbye.
several times.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
And so, to our listeners out there again, thank you so much for tuning in. You are watching Beauty in the D live on WJZZ Cool TV. You can catch us streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, and other top media social platforms. And again, we have today here in the studio Miss Sherry Harris, the owner and CEO of Swint Logistics. So, Sherry, what? So, when you moved back to Detroit, okay, you were still just doing the trucking at that point, right?
I moved back to Detroit to go to truck driving school because at the time in Atlanta they only had one school and the hours were like Monday through Saturday, 8 to 5:30. And I'm like, how can I feed my daughter? Remember, that's
Hmm.
my whole goal. How can I feed? I'm
Right.
a single mom. How can I feed my daughter and go to truck driving school when I'm not gonna work two jobs because I'm never gonna see her?
Right.
And that was never the goal. So I inquired about some schools here. I told my boss what I wanted to do, and she I don't know what she did, but she paid me out for everything.
What?
All my vacation time, everything, and approved me for unemployment. So I was able to come back here
Shout out
and
to,
go to
we won't
truck
say her
driving school.
name, but
Okay,
shout
shout
out.
I called her one day in school and just thanked her, like in
Yeah.
tears, like I'm so happy,
Yes.
in truck driving school because it felt good. Like I didn't, again, that's something God just plugged into me. But when I got in the dump truck, I was in heaven. Like I was in love. And even like trucking, I miss it now, because I don't get to drive a lot. I do
Yeah.
move my equipment here and there. If I go
Yeah.
buy something, I may drive it back or have it shipped or whatever. But I miss the semis. I miss it. And then when I get in it, I'm like, okay, I'm over it.
Gotcha.
It's
Was you
cool.
out there playing on the walkie-talkie, Sherry, in them trucks? Was you playing
Girl,
on
I
the
used to play on the
walkie-talkie?
walkie-talkie. I used to do all kind of stuff. So trucking is a really fun industry.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard work. It's not easy. And then what we did was, we did a process. It wasn't just driving, bumping docks. And then, when I started trucking, my goal was to get as much experience as possible because I don't know if people know this, but the experience you have from your previous life as a worker
Mm-hmm.
transitions over into business as past performance. So you can utilize that experience
Mm-hmm.
as a grounds to go after
Put it
contracts
on your
and
resume.
right, put on your business
Your
resume, capability
capability
statement.
statement.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. So, so if I could give you any advice to anybody, if you're going into just say insurance, I know you work in different areas of insurance. I mean, home, life, auto, blah, blah, blah. So that way, when you started your company, you had knowledge, you had background, you had understanding
Yeah.
of what you wanted to service.
Mm-hmm.
And so don't just jump into business without the experience behind you because
Definitely
you're
gotta
gonna
have the
need that,
experience.
and it's gonna help you grow and
Mm-hmm.
scale. So I just would recommend that to anybody thinking about getting into business.
So, how long was the truck driving class at? What was it?
New way.
New Way.
18 to 21 days.
Okay, 18, 21 days you certified as a truck driver.
Yeah, it took like 4 weeks total,
Okay.
because after that you got to go test at the Secretary of State and,
Yeah.
do some physical, get your physical and just different things that, well, I actually got the physical in school, but just going to Secretary of State, taking the
Yeah.
road test, getting the license, doing what you need to do to move forward. But I sat on my license for about a year because I was terrified to drive. So I stayed in
Really?
nursing.
So
Yes,
you
I
went
went back
back to
into nursing
nursing?
here. Nobody knows that. So a year, because when you first get your trucking license, they want to throw you over the road because you new, right? Which is, you
They
need
give
the
somebody to
experience.
you though, right?
Yeah, but I didn't
Okay.
want to, remember. I don't want to be away from my baby.
That's
I
right.
wasn't ready, and
Yeah.
so I lied about my experience and went straight to local driving a year later. So I
Okay.
worked in, and then I still would like work temporary, like a couple days a week in trucking to get comfortable.
Yeah.
And then I was cool after that. And I started going to Canada every night to Chrysler and GM over there. I would pick up like parts in Grand Rapids, and then take them out to Canada every day. So
Okay.
it was cool. And then I got into the sewers, and that's when I got all the different experience. Like that was just
Sure.
bumping docks basically, right?
Yeah.
But that's when I really got into tankers and hazmat and certified boiler operator, installing sewer liners with steam and hot
That's certainly
water.
specialty.
Oh, it's definitely. And so now we're looking to go after those contracts with DWSD based on my past experience.
Okay.
So, and my certification. So, that's
So then
key.
how we fast forward to Swint Logistics?
So,
Now we go from I'm just gonna dibble and dabble. Okay, I'm just going over to Canada
so
to
nice.
okay, I'm a whole corporation. I'm a whole another project.
So, I took some money and I saved up,
Hmm.
and I decided to become a federal motor carrier. And
Okay,
so that gave me licensing in 48 states. And at that time, I got my Canadian authority as well. So we were licensed in 48 states as
but that
well
wasn't
as
under
Canada.
Swint. That was under who you was
No, that was
working.
me,
Oh,
Swint
okay,
Logistics
okay.
Group. That's how I started. I started with 5 trucks over the road.
That was a lot of money you saved.
Well, I was making 6 figures working in the sewer. So, and I'm a smart girl. So, but so I started. 2 of the trucks were mine, and 3 were owner operators that ran under my authority.
Okay.
I had a contract in St. Louis, and I was the only female fleet owner the company ever
Mm.
had. And it was really cool, but the money just wasn't there.
It
And
wasn't.
so
Did you hire any women, or were these all males that worked for you?
I had all male drivers. Oh, you know what? I did have one woman at the end, and she just wasn't ready. She was
Okay.
scared. I tried to help her, and she just was, but she was used to driving school buses,
Okay.
but she had the A license, and she just, it was a lot for her. And then, like I said, we covered so many states. We weren't a regional company. My trucks could be in Texas, Cali, all
Yeah.
over
Yeah.
Georgia, Florida, Miami. Um, so yeah, I did have a female, and I tried to work with her, but
Okay. She wasn't
I
ready.
get it because
Okay.
I went through. I
Yeah,
wasn't
you
ready
went through it
too,
too.
so I don't discriminate or judge, and safety is always top
That's number one.
priority, right?
Yeah.
So we talked, and it was good stuff. So I did that, and then the money wasn't there, and so
People
we.
don't realize it's expensive to be in trucking,
Oh
right?
my
Because
God,
those
it's
checks not coming
so.
like every day,
They do
right?
come every day, every other day
Okay,
if
they
you
come every day.
factor, but that's a 3% charge for your money every day if you do it that way. It does help cycle the business because you're constantly buying fuel every day.
Hmm.
We gave our drivers a $200 stipend at the beginning of every week, and they got paid every Friday. But, you don't ever want your driver out there without. So that was
Hmm.
an option. If they wanted to take the 200, they could. If they didn't,
Yeah.
and they just came out their check at the end of the week, right?
Yeah.
But just it was just a lot. And again, the money wasn't there for us because again, I'm in the beginning. I don't know anything about certifications, minority certifications. I don't know about the power of being able to sit down at the table with the big companies and sell my service.
Right. Well, you're still building your experience
Right. So I'm
technically.
in the beginning,
Yeah.
right? And
Mhm.
so because I didn't know these things,
Mhm.
we basically failed. And so I got rid of the trucks, bought one dump truck, and I drove it here locally for about a year. And then I got a box truck, get an Amazon account. Not a lot of money in that either when you are a small company. Maybe multiple
If you
trucks.
got multiple, yeah.
Yeah, because Amazon's theory is based on small but many,
Okay.
right? It's a small amount, but if you got 10, then that, that $100 a week goes to $1,000 a week, so that's just an example, not the actual numbers,
Right.
but just an example of how his process is.
Mm-hmm.
And so we kept the box truck. We got the New York contract with Terry Davis and Detroit Cabinet Manufacturing, doing cabinets to New York 3 times a week. The challenge
Okay.
was drivers here are scared to drive in New York. So it's always a challenge, like I said, it's always something. It's never just, oh my God, we got a multi-million-dollar contract now. We can
Okay.
run
Tell me
freight to New
why were
York.
they? What's
Oh my God,
because you
terrified.
everywhere, like you said, you was down in Miami, Florida.
But then,
What's New
okay, so
York?
so New York is terrifying, and this was a box truck. Let's be clear, this
Okay.
wasn't a semi.
Okay.
Okay, so the semis were everywhere.
Yeah.
The box truck driver, so it was a two-man job,
Mm-hmm.
and they could basically leave at night, get there in the morning, unload, turn around, and come back,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I would go out with them myself because I
Mm-hmm.
did it myself the first few times just to
Yeah.
kind of get a
So
feel
you'll know.
for it. Yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
then I'm not gonna ask you to do something I can't do. Plus, one of my value propositions and differentiators in business is that I don't own any equipment that I can't drive or operate.
Yeah, that's right.
And
Hands on.
yeah, and they laugh at me at the MDOT meetings because I pull up in my dump truck with my heels on. Like I had to run and take a driver today, got sick, and now I'm at the meeting, so they
Yeah.
laugh about that. But when I'm coming to you for a contract, listen, if a driver is sick, we have 5 trained Class A drivers on our team. So you don't have to worry about your shipment not making it or somebody calling in. If they got
Mm-hmm.
a doctor's appointment, I have no problem going out there hauling wet batch concrete on I-75 if I had
Okay.
to. So that is a significant value proposition for my firm.
Mm-hmm.
And I throw that up every chance I get. And
That's
I
right.
keep my license, and my license is good. I do everything I need to do to stay in great standing. We are
Mm-hmm.
still federal motor carriers, and now we're moving freight for borders and custom control. And
Okay.
um, we're taking back our New York contract,
Oh,
because I
you
let
coming
that
back
go.
with the
I'm
cabinets? Because I
taking it back.
remember.
I dropped it.
Okay,
I let it
but
go.
you still didn't answer the difference between driving in New York and like why
Okay,
are Michigan drivers afraid to
so
drive
New
there?
York has a lot of low bridges,
Okay.
and they have a lot of signage that you have to pay attention to, but at the same time they have a lot of hazards. So in addition to trying to pay attention going through traffic, the traffic is unbelievable. Atlanta traffic has nothing on New York traffic.
Mm.
And then New York, like I said, the bridges, the heights of the bridges, trying to read the signs, not hit the car in front of you, not hit the person, the people, the foot traffic. New York has a lot of hazards. And
Okay.
then even like our delivery spots, it may take 15 minutes just for traffic so you can kind of back in to
Yeah.
what you need to do.
The delivery spots.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so like when I'm going to Brooklyn, so when I'm going to Brooklyn, I'm by Yankee Stadium or whatever, and my GPS may say turn here. Well, it's cars double parked on both sides of the street. You can't, and then you may actually turn. Now, 2-man job. Now you kind of turned, and now you can't get down here. So guess what? Now the guy got to get out, get behind you, try to stop traffic. They're extremely rude. Back the
Yeah.
truck up, and then you got to go down and find a street you can actually turn on, hoping it takes you back around. So we have 3 GPSs running at one time. You can't go through the Hollis Tunnel, so and the GPS is trying to take you through the Hollis
Oh,
Tunnel.
okay.
Even the truck GPS, I'm telling you, 3 GPSs. So then we get a truck map. It's no good. I mean, I was in New York one night crying. I pulled over and called the police for help because low bridges,
Aw.
trucks cannot get on the freeway
Yeah.
here. So the police officer explained to me, and this is a tip: anybody in trucking gets stuck in New York, when it says that, just ride the service drive down, and eventually it'll open up. But who
Okay.
knows that? And
Who
you
knows
in a
that can
truck, and
happen
you don't want to
anywhere?
get stuck on a one-way street
Uh-huh.
on a
On the
service
service
drive
drive.
and not know what you can do because now the GPS is trying to tell you. It was just a lot. So
Yeah.
it's a lot. So in taking the contract back, I'm brokering it all out. I'm
Okay.
not. I'm
I
not
know
doing
that's
any. I'm
right.
brokering it
Yes,
all out
brokering it
because
out.
then I don't have the sleepless nights when it's
Yeah.
snowing. Is the driver gonna be okay on the road? Or they got to go into the storm because the
Yeah.
shipment is due, or the driver's sick, or so
Yeah.
thinking smarter,
Yeah.
working smarter,
Well,
not
you paid
harder.
your dues.
Yeah, that part too. So
Yeah.
New York is a very hard place to drive.
Okay.
I almost hit two people.
Oh no.
And killed, literally.
No.
Literally. One of them was a handicapped lady beating on
Oh
the truck.
no.
Look, she scoots under the tire.
Oh.
Okay, this the box truck. This the tire. She scoots under the tire and is beating on the truck, hollering, "Give me money!" And I promise y'all, God said, when the light turned, look, check your mirror. And she's on this side. I just happened to see her. If I wouldn't have heard that, I'd have killed that lady.
Oh.
Literally. They told me she do that all the time. That's why she got the one leg. So she's a
Oh.
thing.
Oh.
And that's in Manhattan on Houston. Houston
So
Boulevard.
tip to drivers going to New York, be careful,
I
Austin.
don't want like a lady.
Okay,
Right.
right. And also thank you again, Detroit, for tuning in. You are watching another episode of Beauty in the D, streaming live on WJZZ, Cool TV, YouTube, Facebook, and other top social media platforms. Today we are here discussing Power, Wealth, and Style with Miss Sherry Harris, the owner and CEO of Swint Logistics. So you had did an interview maybe a couple weeks ago, and I watched it, and you were talking about the trucking industry, and the implications of the tariffs that have been placed in force. Me myself, as you know, I used to insure a few trucking companies, and a lot of them, sad to say, have gone out of business. I don't know what exact reason. Everybody's situation and circumstance is different, but let's talk about how the tariffs are affecting truck drivers right now today, if at all.
Whew. So I did that interview for News Nation. I'm their go-to truck expert.
Hmm.
I do a lot of interviews with them now, and so the tariffs are going to really kill the owner operators. And so I've done my homework and research on this. I'm just not. This is the forecast, because
Hmm.
when I did the interview, he was talking about putting them in place. Mexico was going to get a 30-day break, and they were going to seal the tunnels and
Yeah.
put military at the borders, and so it was what ifs,
Yeah.
right, at the time. And so what my research led me to find, and which makes sense, is that so with the tariffs in place, it could potentially decrease the amount of exports coming in, right? And so that would decrease the amount of freight that would be needed to move the
Hmm.
containers or any, freight coming in from
Hmm.
overseas. And so the bigger companies may survive it, right?
Right.
Because they have contracts in place. But the little guy, and then, so what happens is a bigger company will have a huge contract with maybe one of the big container companies, or the container port companies, or the rail companies,
Hmm.
right? And so they're moving the containers. And so just say that they have a contract, I'm just um, hypothetically speaking, and they're using 20 trucks a day, but
Hmm.
they actually need 25 trucks a day, but they only own 20.
Okay.
So they'll broker out
The other
those other
five.
five.
Hmm.
So now if freight is decreased, they're not going to stop working their guys to work the broker little guy.
Hmm.
They're going to run their 20 trucks, and then the five will get knocked off the board first. So I think that's the easiest way to explain it
Explain. Yeah.
and make it make sense.
Hmm.
So, but the long term effects could be that America starts back producing and buying
At
American
home,
made
domestic.
products, because
Yeah.
now, because of the cost to ship things has gone up, it's cheaper for you to maybe run and buy something here, or for a company to start making blue jeans again here, or cotton start, whatever products that we buy from there are will become geniuses and start making it here like they
Hmm.
used to do,
Like they
and
used
open
to.
factories here and depend on more domestic products than foreign products.
Okay.
And so that is
And
the
put more
long
people to
term goal.
work.
Put more people to
Hopefully,
work.
it will stimulate the economy again and the small brokered out truck personnel.
So the benefit for the trucker would be regional lanes.
Hmm.
If you say it's a company now in North Carolina making shoes and boots,
Hmm.
and so now you're gonna be moving them to Atlanta, different, Georgia, the
Yeah.
surrounding states. So that would bring regional work in
Yeah.
because it's within our 48, right? Our continuous 48 states. But I mean, that's really far off. That's a lot of ingenuity and
It
manpower and
is.
things that need to get that
And
going,
money.
and money. And the other thing is too, when you're making changes like that, that's gonna really hurt, you know, the middle class. It
Yes.
should be gradual.
Yes.
It
Not
should be
this extreme.
conversations. It shouldn't be
Yeah.
so extreme and dramatic, because you'll say that I've been buying insurance from you, which I have, but for 5 years, and then now you come and say, you know what, Sherry, in your mind, you know what, I need to increase my profit margin. I want a Benz. So you know what, Sherry, your $1,500 policy a month now is gonna go to $10,000. Instead of saying, you know what, Sherry, it's gonna go up 500, and then let's gradually
Yeah.
know that it's going to go up because we're trying to reach a goal of
Right.
domestic
Incremental.
incremental
But this
small
man just
steps.
came out with that magic marker, like,
Well, like I told people, for his voters who voted for him, you seen my interview again on Kamala Harris, so I did not vote for him. But for the people who voted for him, he's doing everything that he said he was going to do,
absolutely.
and I just wonder how it's affecting his voters.
I wonder that too. It looks like some people wish they could take their vote back, but it doesn't work that
No,
way.
this is a democracy, and you
And
cast your vote. So
because at this particular point in time, it's not really about some of it. We talk about the DEI. It's not really just a racial thing. It is, but it's not. You know what I mean? It's rolled up in there, but this is a class thing as well. When we're talking about middle class, that encompasses, because it's statistically more Caucasians than black people, okay? It's going to affect a whole class of people, not just a particular demographic. And then middle class has levels. You have upper middle class, lower middle
of
class.
course,
You know what I mean?
exactly.
So it's going to affect a lot of people. And I hope, I'm like you. Well, I hope you guys got what you asked. I hope it's looking and panning out to you the way you thought it would.
Yeah. I think it's funny to hear Caucasian people talk about. So one of my DEI conversations with one of because when you call your DEI people, they don't know if they at the time, right? Because we're
Right.
kind of getting a little past it now. Not really though, because I'm still affected. But when you talk to them, their response in the beginning was, "Listen, I don't know what to tell you because I don't even know if I have a job right now."
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because remember, he was like, "Tell them don't come to work."
Yeah.
So everybody was in a frenzy, and so, but I was also told by a Caucasian person in DEI that this is just a white man's cry for help,
Really.
because, and then I heard another person say, Caucasian, that these this DEI was really benefiting white Caucasian women
Females. Yeah.
female women owners.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and these women are really running their own companies. They're not fronts. And
Yeah.
so, is this their husband's way of pulling control back because they think as women we have too much power now?
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, there's
so,
some men that really do feel that way.
well, this is coming from Caucasian people. These are their opinions. This is
Mm-hmm.
not factual. Don't
Right, but and I
But
love listening to different perspectives.
I do
But I
too.
believe that's why Hillary didn't get in the first time. It's just some men across the board, Caucasian, black, that are just not ready for women to be in
And
control.
they express that, and that's
Yeah,
okay, and it's fine. But we birthed the nation, so I don't know how much control we need. I think we have enough.
we bring life.
Yes, we bring life, so I don't know who could say that in Jesus' name.
In Jesus'
So,
name, we bring life, and that's
yeah, so
facts.
we don't need any more power. Trust me.
So, what do you feel? Honestly, listen to these different perspectives, and you being on the front line, period, as a serial minority and female entrepreneur. What do you feel about the future of the middle class? We talk about it make them should have been changes made incremental, but what do you really feel about
The middle class
the state of the middle class? Not just African American, I mean just the class in
overall,
general. Yeah,
um, I feel like the middle class are the hustlers of America.
we are.
We are. Because when you think about middle class, you can think about the plant
The blue
workers,
collar, yeah.
the
Hmm.
blue collar workers. You think about the supervisors at fast food restaurants. They
Hmm.
make decent money.
They
They're
do.
middle class.
Yeah.
Some of these fast food restaurants, these people making a couple jobs overtime, they represent maybe the lower middle class.
Hmm.
So we are the hustlers of America, and so we're always going to make it.
Yeah.
We are resilient, and if
Yeah.
we have to work
Say
a
that.
couple jobs, we're going to do what we got to do. We got to get the side hustle. We got to drive
It's not the
Uber.
end of the
You
world.
know,
Yeah.
so I made a joke yesterday, and I said, and you said I'm not. The joke was about black people, and I said we like the roaches of America. We gonna survive the atomic bomb. If you a hustler and you got a hustler mentality,
That's right.
and you not gonna give up your new car because some eggs went up. I'll quit eating eggs before I be stressed about a damn egg price. So
Say that, Sherry.
or
Say
I
I
go on
stop
there, hey, I
eating.
pay the cost and be the boss and batter eggs. I did the other day. I bought 18 for $7.69. I was like, oh, damn eggs, But I mean, you're gonna either pay the cost to be the boss, step up to the plate, batter up,
Uh-huh.
do what you got to do, or you gonna get rolled over. And
Yeah.
hustlers don't get rolled
We don't
over.
get rolled
We gonna
over, and
do
that's what
that.
separates the girls from the women and the boys from the men. Period.
Period.
Yes.
So
So I want to talk about these certifications, and then I want to
okay.
talk about some contracts. Time go by so fast whenever we get together.
I
I can't
know.
believe we only got like 9 minutes
Oh
left.
my
It's
god.
an hour-long show.
Oh my god. I thought we had 30 minutes.
But when we get together, we like people who are watching. This is what we do for real. We bounce ideas off one another when we turn up, which is not as often as we'd like. 'Cause we be busy.
Mhm.
It's always a good time.
Always.
Okay, so let's talk about the certifications. Okay, so I want to, I hope we are enlightening somebody and inspiring somebody today with this show too. African American women entrepreneurs and what we have to do to remain being so. Okay, so you have the WBENCE, which is the WBE and the MBE, and then with Wayne County, you also have the DBE, the airport DBE, the CBE, which is the City Business Enterprise, the TGCE, SBE, SBEWOSB, EDWOSB, Federal Vendor, and then the Section 3 HUD certifications. Can you talk about that really quick and the difference? Because I just learned this. I have the um, those with Wayne County. I'm not going to bore people with acronyms. And didn't realize that I needed to have the federal one, the national ones as well. So
Okay.
let's start at the top. The Weed Bank,
Okay.
WBE and MBE, for our viewers. Explain what that is and what you were able to do with those specific certifications, and then we'll go to Wayne
Okay. So WeBank is a national woman-owned certification. That is
County.
certifying that your agency is on 51% or more by a woman. We are 100% woman-owned. I'm the only owner of my firm, and they do a very extensive background check. They
Mm-hmm.
do. They come to your office, birth certificate, passport. They want to make sure you were born a woman. I mean, it is super extensive, and it's a fee attached to it, and it's a yearly research. um, but that certification has allowed me to. I was one of the first Stellantis women-owned classes they gave to
Mm-hmm.
get you to the table to pitch to Stellantis. You get to sit down and tell them what service you want to sell them, and you get the opportunity to potentially get a contract. Nothing is guaranteed. When we went through that particular program, Stellantis was on strike. So it was still a great experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
And now I'm in a different program with them. I have the opportunity to go back and get in front of Stellantis again. And so
Yay.
when you are women certified nationally, they have people in place to make sure that you have help if you need help with access to capital. They so the DEI is directly connected to these certifications.
Mm-hmm.
And so with the woman-owned certification, um, just say that I want to do business with DTE. I want to do business with Turner Construction in Miami.
Mm-hmm.
I want to do business with electric company in California. Within the database of firms that use DEI or recognize DEI, they're in that database.
Okay.
And the direct contact for you for that firm is in that database. And so
The
they have
direct contact
the
for it.
direct contact for
That's what's up.
procurement,
Thank you.
diversity and
Yeah.
inclusion procurement person.
Okay.
And so their whole job is to make sure that that firm is meeting their diversity requirements, which are now non-void.
Hmm.
But before the administration came in and made the changes, the DEI person was also in procurement. And so they would come out and meet businesses, and then they would say, okay, Sherry, they would, vet you, you talk to them, you pitch to them, and then they take you to the person in the particular department
Hmm.
that you need to secure the actual contract with.
Okay, so let me ask you, when you say that they provide assistance, because you know, I've dibbled and dabbled, never went full force to bid until now.
You got
But
this.
what type of okay, you really have, and I'm sure I'm not the only one that has been fearful of this or even intimidated by the process. Okay.
You know I was. Oh
Yeah, I
my
went through it with
God.
you.
Oh my God.
I was like, Sherry, you got this.
Yeah, quitting's is never an option though. But you have to
It's
start
never
with quitting.
optional.
When you start something, quitting should never be an option.
No, it wasn't. I fired myself a couple times, but I never walked out on the business.
That's hilarious. I be
Like,
telling
go
people,
home.
get yourself
Get
together.
yourself together. Go have you a cocktail or something. Come back tomorrow, Steph. And matter
Let's
of
try
fact,
this
take 2
again.
days off and then come back. Call me in the morning. That's what you said to yourself.
Okay, like listen, I be telling people my boss is terrible. If you see her on the street, beat her up. I can't stand her. She won't let me get off to come play. I can't. I gotta work.
I know I can't stand my boss sometimes.
You
She
know,
be
she
going
made me
hard. She be
sick
cracking the
too.
whip.
Sherry is terrible.
Tell
Sherry,
Stephanie. So listen, and now you speaking not just to our audience, but to me right now, okay?
okay.
So with the We Bank, right? Like I said, you really do have to dot your I's and cross your T's. And with the proposals, like the proposals could be 150 pages long,
That's
right?
correct.
Yes, I mean, that's what has intimidated me. So are they there to help you decipher this language, because they're saying the same thing but in different ways throughout the contract, and then to put all of this together, not just your numbers, because your numbers and your pricing, that's a whole nother section. That's like the
Correct.
appendix of the RFP. But the whole, and then all of that they want to see, is it somebody there to help, even just to critique, to make sure that you've done it correctly before you put yourself out there, because you cannot embarrass your business.
I don't think so, to be
Okay.
honest. I think they can get you to the table.
They can get you to the table.
Right.
The rest
And
is up. Well,
then
if you get that far, you should be able to figure out the
yeah,
rest.
so your numbers, you should know your cost of the
Hmm.
business, and when you're doing your numbers, you always can, in most cases, go
Hmm.
to and pull a FOIA report, which
Yeah,
is
you can.
what is FOIA again?
I can't remember what it stands for, but I went to
It's
pick
F
one up. Yeah,
O I A,
FOIA. Yeah.
right? I can't remember what it stands for,
Okay.
but
You know what? I'm
you
about to
can
Google
you
it
can
real quick.
Google FOIA, and you can put in the solicitation or the bid number, and FOIA can pull up the previous bid and the history of the bid, and then you can see the numbers.
Okay.
The numbers are gonna be the historical numbers. So, if the bid is out every 3 years, that last number is from 3 years ago.
Hmm.
Actually, it's probably from
Freedom
six
of
years
Information
ago.
Act.
Freedom of Information
Hmm.
Act. Thank you. My goodness, I can think of it. And so you just have to take that number, like say your numbers are lower because you're smaller, right? But you're going for this big contract. So you can look at that number and you can gauge. And then you can look at the other numbers and see how the gradual increases. And then you can kind of gauge from that. So, play the guessing game, but make sure you come out on top and that you
Right.
don't
Don't
lose,
shortchange
right? Don't
yourself.
ever
Because you
shortchange
still gonna have to
yourself.
pay people. You got expenses with these contracts. You got the insurance. Got all type of things. So real quick before we get out of here, you have to come back again, shit.
I will come back anytime, Stephanie. I
Girl,
love
because it's
you.
so much information we didn't get to go over. Okay,
Uh-huh.
these are some of the contracts you've been awarded: Detroit Housing Commission, Johnson Controls, Wayne County Criminal Justice. I remember that one. That was the lockers,
Oh,
wasn't
yes,
it?
it
I remember
was.
that one. I remember the Bart
Seven figures.
Mello. Yes, let's talk about Bart Mello real quick, because what helped us. I watched you birth that baby.
Oh, wow. So, to do a contract, get a contract with a company of the size of Bar Mallow. They're like the number three or number one GC in the state of Michigan. So
Hmm.
they're a very large firm. They're over a billion in assets.
Hmm.
A few billion. I think it's 6 billion or more. But anyway, to get a contract like that, my insurance increased, you know that,
Yeah.
just to even qualify to bid, not even guaranteeing you getting it,
Not
but
even
just to even
guaranteed.
qualify to go to the bid table.
Hmm.
My insurance went up from what we just said, like 156 a month to like 1300
Yeah,
a
it was a
month.
lot.
Because you
Hmm.
got to get this $5 million umbrella
Hmm.
policy, subordinate. There's so many words I don't even know, but I paid the cost
I
to be
had
the
learned
boss.
so much doing
Well,
that
yeah,
project
because
with
you
you.
it was new to you too, but
Yes.
that's how you pay the cost to be the boss and do a
Yep.
big contract. And so we increased our insurance coverages for that. Then we had to get bonding. I had student loans. I couldn't get bonded till the student loans was paid, so I had to take care of that. Then I got a great bonding company, diamond rated through the SBA. So the SBA does have a small business program to help with bonding.
Say that again, because a lot of contractors miss out because of that bonding.
Yeah. So if you're a contractor in the state of Michigan, MDOT has a bonding education course every year, and it's amazing. And I'm a graduate, I think 2018, and I got my bond in 2019. And one of the firm that my bonding company is Fidelity, diamond rated, and they were part of the MDOT bonding process. So when you go through that class, you build these relationships, you meet these people, and then voila, you get a big contract. You need to be bonded. You have these relationships,
Yeah.
and then being a graduate from that significantly benefited us in the process because you knew what to expect, you knew what you had to do. You know, when you before you go up for these contracts, make sure your credit is A1
Yeah.
because that insurance, insurance is based on your credit. I
It
don't know if
is.
people know that, but it is. And bonding,
Yep. The
the
bonding
bonding
definitely
that's
is.
based on credit. So
It's like a whole
I worked on
resume.
my
Yeah.
credit. Like my credit was great when I started the company, but when you're going through the pits and the ups and the downs and the feast and the famine and the famine and the famine and the famine and the feast and the your credit can take some hits here and there. And so I made it a priority and I've stuck with it ever since. Our insurance rates are ridiculously low right now, thank God, and you just have to focus on that. Credit dictates everything,
Hmm.
everything.
So we got like 1 minute left. What do
Okay.
you want people to know about Sherry Harris? And what's your last closing remarks, boss lady?
So my name is Sherry Harris, as you guys know. My company is Swint Logistics Group. We offer full service construction, commercial and residential. We are licensed builders in the state of Michigan. We also offer trucking and logistics and hauling. We have dump trucks and we move freight in 48 states. We're licensed federal motor carriers. And we also do infrastructure work related to sewer rehab, repair, and replacement. I am very thankful and blessed to have my firm. If there's anything we can do to help you guys in any of our services, please reach out. Our website is www.swintlogistics.com. And I'm only here because of God. And Stephanie invited me. Everything you do should be faith based. And if you believe and you don't quit, you can have anything you want. And that's a fact. Thank you, Stephanie, for having me. Congratulations on your platform. I'm so proud of you. And we're going to celebrate that big because you're going to win. And don't be afraid. Fear is the devil. God does not give you the spirit of fear.
Yeah.
That is the devil's way of keeping you from what God has for you. And if you don't believe me, log on to YouTube and watch Steve Harvey jump, how to change your life, and it explains the risk of deciding to take a leap of faith and go after your dreams. But if you do it, you'll win. You'll get hurt, but you'll win. You can do it.
That's right. Well, thank you all for tuning in again to Beauty and the D. We focus on power, wealth, and style. Our very special guest today was Sherry Harris, the owner and CEO of Swint Logistics. Thank you for tuning in with your host, Stephanie Coney. We're here every Saturday on WJZZ Cool TV from 1 to 2, and we'll see you next Saturday. Take care and